There are so many threats from so many different quarters when you consider, just adding up, nuclear warfare, biological warfare, overpopulation, bad conservation, racial strife, civil war. Take your choice. Either one or any mixture of them. And we shan't be here. That is to say, we shan't be here in the sense of a territory, a biological world. We may exist in some abstract sense, like, see, I was right after all. Better dead than red. Now, herein exactly lies the problem of the future. When I make prophecies from a purely realistic and hard-boiled point of view, I tend towards the extremely gloomy side of things. I have never yet voted in an election where the candidate of my choice won the election. And I tend to feel that practical politics is a matter of assessment. That human beings are so stupid that they will always do what they can do. What can be done must be done. And that we will go like the Gadarene swine down the hill. And if I were betting on it, and I had somewhere to place my bet, I would bet on it that way. But I don't have anywhere to place my bet. And furthermore, I can look at it from a point of view where I'm not just an objective bystander looking at this situation as something which I'm just going to predict about. I'm involved in it. And as I'm involved in it, I'm damned if I'm going to let it happen that way. There is then the other alternative, that if the United States of America ceases to exist in our minds and in our hearts as an abstract political nation, and we focus our attention instead upon the physical people and upon the physical environment and the love of it, then we have some chance of creating by the year 2000 a most extraordinary state of affairs. But it is based upon the realization of that distinction, I repeat it, between the territory, the people, and all the biological life that goes with that situation, on the one hand, and on the other, the United States as a nation with pride and honor. You know, quite recently the Congress passed an act against burning the flag, with all sorts of patriotic speeches. And those same congressmen are responsible directly for burning that for which the flag stands, by absolute callousness as to the care of the physical nation, the water, the air, the crops, the forests. So this is the great confusion of civilization. And if we don't find some way of overcoming it, I'm afraid 2000 AD will see us as a non-geographical expression. The point then is this, that civilized man has developed the incredible technique of symbolization, of words which represent things and events, of numbers which represent atoms and arrangements of physical nature, of social institutions, laws, states, family patterns, and so on. And in these terms he represents the physical world in the same way as the menu represents the dinner. But he has been so fascinated by the power of this symbolic way of looking at things that he very easily confuses it with what it represents, and so has a tendency to eat the menu instead of the dinner. And this is precisely the disease from which those congressmen who orated about burning the flag are suffering from. But this disease assumes much more serious forms. And the one I want to talk about first as the major obstacle to the survival of the territory United States in the year 2000 may be symbolized by the confusion of money with wealth. You remember, don't you, the Great Depression, when suddenly the whole country was in a state of poverty for the reason that there was what they call a financial collapse. There was no diminution of our natural resources, there was no diminution of our physical strength, of our intelligence, but suddenly, almost overnight, we had an economic depression, incredible poverty and suffering, because of a financial slump. As if you came to work one day, and they said to you, you were going to build a house, and they said, sorry baby, but can't build a house today, we haven't got any inches. What do you mean we haven't got any inches? Have we got wood? Have we got lumber? Oh no, we don't need inches of wood or inches of lumber. We got tape measures. Oh no, not tape measures, just inches. There are just no more inches to go around. And that's exactly what happened in the Depression. Based on the fallacy that money is wealth, or that money is real. Because money is in a sense a reality, but a reality of exactly the same order as inches, hours, or lines of longitude. It is a measurement of wealth, but it is confused with wealth. And this is the main thing which is blocking the proper expansion of our technological genius at this time. There is no question, I think, that within a relatively short time, we have the technical capacity to wipe poverty off the face of the earth. It isn't a question of the old socialist programs of robbing the rich to pay the poor. All that kind of thinking is entirely obsolete. It is a question of realizing that we are now in 1968, long beyond the age of scarcity, in which we cannot provide adequate and more than adequate necessities and luxuries for every human being on this planet. It is technically possible. The amount we have spent upon warfare, collectively, since 1914, could have given every human being on earth a comfortable, independent income. And the amount we are spending daily on the war in Vietnam could abolish the problems of almost all underdeveloped nations in the world. But the confusion is, when we suggest the very idea that money doesn't matter, people feel deeply insecure. And if we should go further than that and suggest such outrageous ideas as that in the year 2000 AD there will no longer be taxation, that all utilities will be free, and that every citizen, instead of having to pay his taxes, will receive from the government a guaranteed basic income. People say, where's the money going to come from? As if money was something that came from somewhere, in the same way as iron, or hydroelectric power, or lumber, or just plain energy.